Alright, good evening ladies. In today's video, we're going to be doing a very deep dive analysis on some Solana airdrops that I'm very bullish on. I'm actually very bullish on airdrops as an entire category for 2024. I think 2024 is going to be the year of the airdrop. I think there's going to be just so many unbelievably massive airdrops that you won't even believe it. The other reason I'm very bullish and very much focused on airdrops for the next 6 months or so is because we've been up only price-wise for the last 6 months, let's say. And, you know, once prices have gone up so much in such a short period of time with no real, well, we've had a little bit of a pullback now, but, you know, it's kind of been up only for so long. There's like less alpha to be had by trying to find the next coin to come up, the next coin to invest money in. So I personally think over the next 6 months or so, where generally Bitcoin is maybe going to get up to 50k, maybe 60k at a maximum and drop down to maybe 30k at a low. So I think it's going to chop for the next 6 months, which is a perfect time to be 100% focused on getting these airdrops ready for the next leg higher when we break all-time highs towards the latter part of this year. That's what I'm personally thinking, just based off 4-year cycles and history. Now, a lot of airdrops are just going to be complete surprises to you. So the best airdrops, some of the best airdrops I've ever got are airdrops I'm not even expecting. They're just by going out, trying new platforms, going out, just being curious, trying to get alpha, trying new things, trying to be early on something. For example, Bitcoin ordinals. I got a 5k airdrop yesterday for being very early on ordinals by having Bitcoin frogs exposure by trading ordinals. I got these free RCSI airdrop to my wallet, and obviously I was not expecting that. Same thing happened with me with Blur. I got a nice airdrop for just using the platform, not really trying to farm it or anything. So just by being an explorer in the crypto space, trying new things, you're going to get nice airdrops in 2024. But for today's video, we're going to be focusing on airdrops that you can actually farm. And in my opinion, the airdrops that are the best to farm at the moment are not on Ethereum or not EVM compatible chains. So if you look at the likes of Scroll, ZK Sync, like I've done airdrops, I've done a little bit of airdrop farming on some of these, but if you look at the amount of airdrop threads on Twitter about some of these new layer 2s, these new, you know, Linea, all these EVM compatible chains. There's a billion threads on Twitter on how to just farm these EVM related chains, and if you look at these chains, like a lot of the activity is just ghost activity, people just sending transactions back and forth, and they have these massive farms where they've done extremely complicated strategies to divvy up money across multiple wallets so it all looks like a separate individual. And yeah, there's really advanced airdrop farmers on these EVM chains. And so like the chances of you getting a very good airdrop on some of these chains, like it's probably not, it probably is worth your time, but I think non-EVM chains are definitely much more worth your time. And that even includes Bitcoin, but I'm mostly focused on the Cosmos ecosystem, as well as, of course, today's topic, the Solana ecosystem. Now, if you want the Cosmos ecosystem, I did an airdrop strategy on that already, as well as the Say ecosystem. Maybe that could be a good play as well. I did an airdrop strategy on that one as well, if you're interested in those. So the only EVM related protocol that I'm farming right now is Blast, which is the new layer 2 that the guys from Blur created. So if you want to use Blast, all you have to do is send Ethereum, bridge Ethereum to this multi-sig. And if you want to do that, you can use one of my referral codes in the description and you get extra points for doing that. And so do I, so that would help me a little bit. So appreciate that if you want to do that. The other airdrops that I kind of like to look out for are ones that are difficult to cheat on. So that would be like where you actually have to put up some Solana, for example, or you actually have to borrow USDC putting up collateral, or you have to bid on NFTs using real Solana, or you have to actually list your NFTs using real Solana or real NFTs. That's much harder to game. It's a much harder system to game, and unless you're really good at gaming systems and like making transactions look legitimate on, say, a perp dex or something like that, I prefer using the ones where it's more difficult to cheat, where you actually have to put up a little bit of risk to earn these points or to earn a potential good airdrop. So let's dive into the airdrop that I'm farming putting most of my attention into, most of my capital into, and the one that I'm most bullish on. And I'm going to share all my strategies with you on how I'm farming this. So if you do appreciate me, because like me sharing all my strategies reduces the airdrop that I'm going to get potentially, because if everyone's doing my strategy, I'm diluting myself a little bit. I don't mind at all. I really want to help you guys a lot, but if you do appreciate that, for any of the platforms that I mentioned in this video, please use my referral links in the description. You also get an extra boost on top of your points as well for using my code as well. So it helps you, it helps me, so you might as well do that. Okay, so what is the airdrop that I'm putting the most attention on? What is the one that I'm most excited about? It's just personal preference. It might not be the best one, but I'm very bullish on it. It is Tensor. Now I'm going to go very deep into how I'm farming Tensor. So if you're not interested in NFTs, if you're not interested in farming Tensor, skip ahead, because this is going to take a few minutes. So if you want, skip ahead to the other platforms that you might be more interested in. But if you are interested in Tensor, let's dive in exactly how you can maximize your points, because I'm in the top 1000 on Tensor and like rank 850 in terms of my ranking at the moment. And I'm not a whale or anything. I only have 100 Sol in my bidding wallet on Tensor. Like, that's a decent amount of money, but I'm sure a lot of people probably watching this video might have that much Sol. But even if you don't, even if you only have 10 Sol or 1 Sol, you can still farm Tensor and get a good ranking. I saw someone who had like 3 or 4 Sol and was still ranked 3000 on Tensor on the leaderboards. Alright, why am I so bullish on Tensor? Why do I think this is going to be a very, very tasty airdrop? Because I think it's the equivalent of Blur on Solana. And if you remember Blur, like when that airdrop happened, some people made hundreds of thousands from the airdrop. One person made 1 million, and plenty of people made tens of thousands, and like people who weren't even trying made thousands. It was an absolutely phenomenal airdrop and really rewarded people who are very active, who are using the platform a lot. And I think it's going to be very similar on Tensor. And the amount of people using Tensor is less than the amount of people using Blur. So like, potentially the market cap is going to be a bit smaller, but also the pie is going to be split between fewer number of people. So I think it could be a very nice airdrop if you're farming it well. And if you look at Tensor, it's an unbelievable platform. It has charts, like way better than Blur. There's like charts that you would see on TradingView, like really nice charts, really nice features. And they're always adding stuff. So one of the things they've added recently, and this is kind of whenever a platform that you're trying to farm an airdrop for has added something, it's always a really good idea to use that, because they really want to incentivize people to use their new features. And their new features that they brought in, it's called price locks. And essentially what these are options on NFTs. They're not exactly options, but they behave very, very similar. And basically they allow you to go long or to go short on a particular NFT project. But you can take the other side of that trade and you'll actually earn points by funding people who want to go long or by funding people who want to go short. So the option strategy is a bit more advanced. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But if you don't want to go down like using these more advanced strategies of farming the airdrop, you can just do the more simple Tensor farming by bidding and listing on NFTs. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to switch over to the pro version of Tensor and you're going to deposit some Solana into your bidding wallet. This is like your escrow wallet, it's called. And from that wallet, you can bid on multiple collections with the same Sol. So if you have 10 Sol, you can bid that 10 Sol on 10 different collections 10 times. So you're basically using 100 Solana. So you're going to get more points for doing that. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to want to send your Solana and bid on some NFTs. And what NFTs are you going to want to bid on? You're going to want to bid on the highest volume NFTs. That's going to get you the most points. So whatever's the highest volume, put a bid on it. Say you don't really like the NFT, don't put a massive bid on it, but put bids on that in a worst case scenario and you do end up with the NFT, you don't like, you're not going to cry to your mom that, I bought this NFT and it's worth nothing now. So if you don't want to get the NFT into your wallet, but you still want to bid on it to earn points, you can have a look at the bid on Tensor. You can have a look at all the bids and put it at a price below quite a lot of the bids. You're going to get less points for doing that, but at least your bid is going to be there earning points, and it's unlikely that your bid is going to get filled. And if you want to be more safe about it, you can be tracking this all day, always reducing your bid if you don't want to actually get the NFT into your wallet. If you don't want to actually buy the NFT, you can just keep track of it all day, reduce your bid, increase it as the price goes up. So your bid is always there, earning you points, but not actually buying the NFT. Now, Tensor have said that you're going to get more points, you're going to lose points essentially if your bids never get filled. They don't want people gaming the system, they don't want people cheating. So at the end of the day, you do kind of want some of your bids to get filled. And the other reason you do want to get some of your bids filled on these high volume NFTs is that so you can go ahead and list these NFTs close to the floor and get listing points as well, because you get points not just for bidding, you're also getting points for listing close to the floor. So you'll get more points the closer you bid. So you'll get more points the closer you bid to the floor. As well, you'll get more points the closer you list to the floor. So the longer you have a nice listing there, the more points you'll be earning the closer to the floor that it is. Some other quick and easy things you can do to rack up your points on Tensor is you can trade inscriptions on Tensor. So you just hit the inscriptions there, and inscriptions are kind of like ordinals on Solana. Completely pointless and useless, but that's the kind of thing we love in crypto. So yeah, you can trade some inscriptions there. It's one of the newer features, so you will be getting points for doing that as well. Now let's go into the option strategy, the price locks. This is a little bit more risky if you don't know what you're doing, so make sure you understand the risk before you dive into doing these strategies here. But yeah, because it's one of the newer features, I have an inkling, I have a guess, I have a hunch that they're going to be rewarding more points to people who are providing the Solana and also providing the NFTs to fund these longs and to fund these shorts. So basically how it works. So let's just explain it from the point of view of someone who wants to go and buy a long. So for example, if you want to go and buy a long on, let's say, crypto and deads right here, the current floor on crypto and deads is 8 SOL. You can buy a long on crypto and deads of 9 SOL. So, and the cost of that is 0.4 SOL. So basically, if your break even then is going to be 9.4 SOL. So basically, the current floor is 8 SOL. If in 1 week's time, when the option expires or the price lock expires, if the floor is above 9.4 SOL, say it goes up to 12 SOL, everything over 9.4 SOL is pure profit for you without you having to even buy the NFT. And it only costs you 0.4 Solana. So basically you put in 0.4 Solana, and if say the price of crypto and deads goes to 20 SOL, you put in 0.4 and you've basically got 10 SOL out of 0.4, so a 20x. So you can see how this could be like, if you're really bullish on a particular NFT that is going to go up in the next week, 2x, you're going to do really well by purchasing a long on it. Now, if the price doesn't go up by 1.4 SOL within that week, you're going to lose your 0.4 Solana. The other side of the trade is the person who's actually going to be earning the points. So this is probably what you're going to be wanting to do. So this is probably what you're going to want to do if you want to farm the Tensor airdrop. And it's the less risky strategy, essentially. So basically, if you have a crypto undead, so we're talking about crypto undeads here, the NFT. If you have one of these NFTs, the current floor is 8 SOL, and you wouldn't mind if it sold for 9 SOL within the next week. You wouldn't be devastated if it sold for 9 SOL, essentially. You basically say, okay, I'm going to put up my crypto undead and I'm going to get the 0.4 in yield. So they have to pay you 0.4 as a premium for you to basically give this price lock. So if in a week's time, the price doesn't go above 9.4 Solana, so it doesn't go from 8 Solana to 9.4 Solana within a week, then you get your NFT back and you get the yield, which is 0.4 SOL, which is like 400% APY over the course of a year. So it's actually pretty good APY. So, and you're getting airdrop points. So you can see where like this is useful on both sides, where it can be useful on both sides. So if you don't think crypto undeads are going to go to the moon next week and you don't mind selling it at like 1 sol higher, then you can do this strategy and get good APY and good points. So let's talk about the short option. So the short option is if you don't have any NFTs, you're going to fund the shorts using Solana. So for example, in crypto undeads, we're going to do the same. So let's take it from the perspective of someone who wants to short crypto undeads. Sorry, goes into a bit of depth, but I think it's important if you're actually going to use this strategy. If you're not interested in this, feel free to skip ahead. But I don't want to explain it in as simple language as I can so you understand the risks before you do this. So let's take it from the perspective of someone who wants to short crypto undeads. So basically there would be a premium, let's just say 0.4 for argument's sake again. So right now to purchase a short on crypto undeads, it's going to cost you 0.4 Solana. So currently the floor price is 8 sol, and if the price drops by 0.4 Solana in the next week, you're going to be making. So if the price of crypto undeads goes more than 0.4 sol below its current floor, so it's actually pretty cheap to open a short right now on crypto undeads, but if the price drops by more than anything below 0.4 of a drop, is pure profit for you. So pretty good. Now taking the other side of this trade by actually funding the shorts. So this is the one that's going to earn you airdrop points, but also there's potentially some risk with it. Like your max downside in purchasing these options or purchasing these locks is 0.4 sol in both of the examples we gave. But when you're funding these, you're going to be earning that 0.4 sol, but potentially you're going to end up with an NFT you don't want, or you're going to lose an NFT that you did want. So that's basically the risk. And if you're funding these shorts, the only time you should fund these shorts is if you actually want to buy into this collection. For example, crypto undeads, if it drops by more than 0.4 sol within the week that you funded the short, you're going to end up with one of these crypto undeads for a price 0.4 below whatever the current floor is. So you're basically getting the NFT on a bargain within the week. And if the price doesn't go more than 0.4 below the current floor, you're just going to get the yield and get back like 400% yield within a week and a lot of airdrop points. So that's essentially how this new price lock system works, and that's the risks with all the strategies here. And you can use, say you want to buy into, you can use this as options, you can use these as hedges as well. So say you want to buy an NFT, but you're real scared that price is going to drop in the short term, but you really want the NFT. You can buy the NFT. Like buying an NFT, like some of these NFTs are very expensive. So buying one of these NFTs might be risky for you. So you buy one of the NFTs and you can short it for a cheap amount of sol. So say the floor price of the NFT is 100 sol, so that's expensive, but you can buy a short for 3 sol. So in the entire week that you have that short open, if the price of your 100 sol NFT drops by more than 3 sol, any amount that it drops further than 3 sol, you're not going to lose anything. So the max you can lose is 3 sol within that week. So that's actually what I went ahead and did, because I bought Tensorians back when they were like 20 and 30 sol, and they ripped to 50 and 60 sol, because obviously I was bullish on Tensor, so I bought them and staked them, because basically you get extra points if you own Tensorians and if you stake these Tensorians. Tensorians are the NFT of the Tensor platform, but they ripped so much that I was like, okay, I'm going to sell 50 and 60 sol because they're up like 3x, 2 or 3x for me within a couple of weeks. This is a really good return. They'll probably drop back down and I can buy back in. Little that they unfortunately just ripped to 100 Solana, so sold way too early unfortunately, and really wanted to buy back in but was too scared. And the reason I was scared is because I was worried that once the Tensor platform does its airdrop, these Tensorians are going to become worthless essentially, because people are only buying these Tensorians to farm the Tensor airdrop. So that's what I was worried about. But now with this new feature, what I could go ahead and do, and this is a bit of alpha if you want to do the same, I bought a Tensorian because they're I bought one for 74 sol, but they're like 80 Sol, 80 Solana at the moment, so like 8 grand. So it's quite a lot of money for me and quite a lot of risk for me to take. Potentially this airdrop ends in the next 2 weeks and these crash down to 20 Solana again, and then I've lost 6 grand in 2 weeks, which is awful, obviously. So the way I'm reducing the risk is by using these shorts, using these options, basically hedging my position on Tensorians, but at the same time getting the airdrop points for holding and staking my Tensorian. So a little bit of alpha there for you if you want to employ the same strategy. Obviously there's other risks with that as well, and obviously it's expensive because these options on Tensorians are 3 Solana per week. So if the price doesn't drop by 3 Solana in a week, you're paying $300 per week to keep that hedge open. So it's a very expensive hedge. So maybe you don't want to use that strategy either. All right, that's all the sauce on Tensorians. And the reason Tensorians, they were 100 Sol and they dropped to like 75 Sol, I think, at the moment. The reason I think that's happened is because Magic Eden just announced that they're going to be doing points as well. So now people are, like, Magic Eden is also a very, very good, strong platform. So now there's Blur, which is a great platform. Tensor, great platform. Magic Eden, great platform for NFT exchanges as NFT exchanges go. And obviously OpenSea never did anything revolutionary, never did anything very cool. So obviously OpenSea is trending towards zero with all these really strong competitors coming and nipping at its heels. And Magic Eden are basically, they want you to be very loyal to their platform and they're giving you points as well. Now, which platform is going to be bigger? Probably Magic Eden, because Magic Eden have different chains. They're the best ordinal platform. If you want to trade ordinals, most people do it on Magic Eden now. But they also have Ethereum NFTs as well as Solana NFTs. So they're a multi-chain platform and they're very good at what they do as well. So I think that was a little bit of a dampener on Tensorian. So that kind of gave me the entry that I was looking for back into Tensorians. But Magic Eden is another one that you could look at farming as well. I would do these on separate wallets. So if you want to farm Tensor and you want to farm Magic Eden as well, do them on separate wallets, because there's loyalty bonuses on both of them for being 100% loyal. So you want to make it look like you're 100% loyal on both wallets. So you don't want any interactions between these two wallets, and you preferably want to fund them from, say, fund one from the Binance address and fund one from your Coinbase address, so they don't look like they're, they don't look like they're the same person. So you get 100% loyalty and more points in that regard as well. And the very last thing that I forgot to say about Tensor is if you're farming Tensor, this is really important, farm it using the Backpack wallet. Don't use Phantom, because they kind of gave some sauce and gave some alpha that they're kind of partnering up with Backpack, so they're giving extra points to the Backpack wallets. So if you're farming on Tensor, make sure you set up a Backpack wallet to do it, because you're going to get extra points. And Backpack wallets are great as well. So like, it's not, I know it's annoying to set up a wallet, but you'll probably want to have a Backpack wallet at the end of the day anyway. So it's worth setting it up if you haven't already. Right. That could have been a video in itself, but I'm going to go through another few platforms, not in as much depth as Tensor, but I'm going to continue sharing the alpha. It's a longer episode, so if you're enjoying it, smash the thumbs up button. Kind of a more podcast style episode. I'm hoping I won't have to do as many cuts as I usually do. We're just kind of riffing here. But the next platform we're going to talk about is Marginfi. Bit of a more simple platform than Tensor. Not as many different things you need to know, but still I'm ranked 3000 in the world. Pretty good. Now, with both Tensor and Marginfi, like, it seems like, oh whoa, you're in the top 1000, you're gonna get like a massive airdrop then, or you're in the top 3000, you're gonna get a huge airdrop. But you have to remember, like, the top 10 wallets or the top 100 wallets, the amount of Solana, like the whales that control those wallets that are farming these airdrops, like the amount of Solana they have in comparisons to me, the amount of money they have in comparisons to me is astronomical. So like, it's going to be an exponential curve. So it's not going to be evenly split between the top 1000. So just keep that in mind. Like, it is nice being in the top 1000 and the top 3000. And I don't have a huge amount of money in either platform. Like, I don't have millions whatsoever in comparisons to the top guys in these platforms. But, it's still nice. But just keeping in mind that it's not we're not in the same league whatsoever with the very, very top guys. They're going to get huge airdrops in comparisons to us. Now, Marginfi, not as bullish on the airdrop as Tensor, but it's a very easy one to farm, and it shows you the points that you're getting. So all you need to do essentially is have a bit of capital that you're willing to risk in the Marginfi platform. You don't really, the only risk really is that there's a hack of Marginfi. The same with Tensor. With any of these platforms, I forgot to mention, like, the main risk is like one of the platforms gets hacked and steals all the Solana of all the users. And that's a real risk. That has happened in many DeFi platforms in Ethereum. I'm not sure how many times it's happened on Solana. I don't think it's as common, but you know, it is of course a risk. So be careful. And it's also a risk that your wallet gets hacked, your wallet gets drained. So when you're using these platforms, only put in the amount of Solana that you're willing to lose, but also do it on a fresh wallet. Not you don't use your main wallet that you keep all your funds in, and don't keep it as a completely separate airdrop farming wallet, and don't use the same wallet that you're airdrop farming, that you're going to scammy sites or you're going to make trades, you're going to all these different things. You want to keep it a little bit separate so there's less risk of if your wallet does get hacked, they're only taking what's in that burner wallet and they're not going to access all your airdrop farming wallets, if you know what I mean. Oh, and as you can see, I have 30 referrals on Tensor, but I have no referrals on Marginfi because I've never actually said to use my referral code. So you get a 5% boost on your points if you use my referral code. Same with Tensor, I think. So yeah, it's in the description. A 5% boost on your points, and I get a 5% boost from your points as well. So, you know, 3-3 and all that. Shake my hand. Right. But this is kind of the strategy I would use if I want to farm the Marginfi airdrop. I would put up, like, sometimes it's quite hard to get an entry into Marginfi because the pools are often full. But if they aren't full, say there's a B-Sol, which is staked Sol on the Blaze platform. So you can deposit some B-Sol as collateral, and then you can borrow M-Sol, which is Marinade Sol, also staked Solana. So basically you put up 100 B-Sol and you borrow 50 M-Sol. You're never going to get liquidated because they're always going to be worth the same. They always should be worth the same. Like maybe sometimes there could be some big DPEG in a very, very unlikely scenario, but the DPEG isn't going to be 50% because at the end of the day, they're both essentially Solana. They're both the same thing. So you're putting up the same thing as collateral that you're borrowing. So there's much lower risk than say if you were putting up Solana as collateral and borrowing USDC, because in that case, if the Solana drops more than 50%, you're going to lose your Solana essentially. So you borrowed the USDC, but your Solana becomes worth less than the USDC you borrowed, so they're going to liquidate that Solana, and you get to keep the USDC, but you've lost all your Solana. So in that case, so in this case, you're going to borrow, let's say, M-Sol. Now, what are you going to do with that M-Sol? Well, you're going to take it to another borrow lend platform, and you're going to put that up as collateral, and then you're going to borrow B-Sol, and the other borrow lend platform that I use is called Kamino. I'll also leave that in the description. But basically, you're with your, let's say, your 10 or 100 Sol that you're putting up as collateral in Marginfi, you're actually farming. You're getting points for borrowing and you're getting points for lending on Marginfi, and then you're taking the B-Sol that you've borrowed and you're getting points now on Kamino and borrow points on Kamino because you're going to borrow against it, and you can loop it as many times as you want with however much risk you can take. But that's essentially my strategy, quite simple. It's also handy to have some collateral up on Marginfi or Kamino. If you need quick access to some capital, you can just borrow some USDC. If you think, oh, Solana's very cheap right now, or I want to go buy this meme coin, you can borrow some USDC. Try not to lose it on a meme coin and then pay it back. So it's nice having these easy access to collateral. And the great thing about Solana, obviously, is that doing all this doesn't cost you any in gas fees. Like if you were farming these protocols on Aave, if you were farming these protocols on Blur, the gas fees would be absolutely killing you right now. You wouldn't be able to get in and out nice and quick. Like, this all doesn't take a very huge amount of time, whereas on Ethereum it's very expensive and you're waiting around for the transactions to go through, so it's just a bit of a headache. Whereas on Solana it's just boom boom boom, borrow, lend, buy NFT, bid on NFT. You know, it's just it's so much handier. Okay, so Kamino, we just mentioned it, but borrow lend is not the only functionality you can do on Kamino. The other main thing that you can do on Kamino is provide liquidity, and that's what I'm doing quite aggressively. It's one of the platforms that I'm farming a lot, Kamino. So here I'm showing you my Kamino portfolio. Most people wouldn't want to do that, but I'm happy to share. I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination. Basically, all the Solana I own is out farming on these different platforms. I know there's risks in doing that, but I'm very, very bullish on Solana airdrops. So that's why I'm putting all my Solana to work, all my coins to work to try and get nice airdrops. So my biggest liquidity. So basically, by providing liquidity, you have to deposit. Let's just look at WIF and SOL. So you can deposit some WIF, you can deposit some SOL, and you're providing liquidity so people can trade easily in and out of either position and without incurring a lot of slippage. And you're basically getting yield for doing that. Now, it says I've earned 9 SOL of yield. So if you can see that on the top right of my liquidity there, it says I've earned 9 SOL, and my total SOL that I've earned from only 12k is 1,000. However, I don't think I'm not convinced that. So when I check back at my transactions, I deposited 39 Solana into the WIF Solana liquidity pair. I deposited 39 SOL and 10k WIF. And as you can see, that's pretty much what I have. Like, I have a little bit more WIF now from my rewards that I've got. But, you know, it's not, I haven't made like 10 SOL worth of WIF or SOL. So even though the APY says 999%, it's not really, I'm not really earning 10 SOL. You can do this the risk-free way, or you can do it the risky way. And with obviously the WIF SOL pair, there is the chance of impermanent loss. So if you don't know what impermanent loss is, so you put up your WIF and you put up your SOL to provide liquidity. Now, for example, say the price of WIF goes to 0, it goes down like 90%. You put up WIF as collateral, or not collateral, you put in WIF and SOL. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to sell all your Solana, and all your Solana is going to be turned into WIF, and you're just going to be left with a big bag of WIF, which is down 90%. So you should only really do this on coins that you'd be happy buying the dip on. Like in the case of WIF and Solana, I like both of those coins a lot. So I'm happy if the price goes down, I'm going to end up with more of the one that's gone down. So that's not a big problem for me, but that's called impermanent loss. So you don't really lose, it's just that you're going to end up with more of the one that's gone down. But for me, since I deposited in here, the price of WIF and SOL hasn't moved too much, so that's grand. That's essentially the perfect scenario that you want. But if you don't want to take that risk, you can just provide liquidity on, like we said, stake Solana like Marinate Sol and Jido Sol, for example. They're both never going to change price. Like, they're like, one's not going to go 90% against the other, because they're basically the same thing. So if you're providing liquidity on that, there's no chance of a permanent loss really. So that's the risk-free way to provide liquidity, but obviously the APYs aren't anywhere near the same. Now, the other feature that you can do on Kamino, which I say is probably good from a points farming perspective, is called the multiply feature. Essentially, this allows you to boost your Solana staking yield. So basically what it does at the back end, well, I'll just show you what it is here. So I've only put 5 SOL into it, and I've kept the leverage for only at 2 times. So that's actually quite low leverage for this play, because it's a little bit riskier. It's not very risky, but it's a little bit riskier. Maybe I'll put a little bit more SOL and increase the leverage a little bit. But I do think this is probably a good, from an airdrop farming strategy, they've kind of mentioned it a few times, and I think it probably gets good points to do it as well. But basically what it's doing, say my strategy here is using BSOL, which is Blaze Stake Sol. So basically what it does is you basically put in 5 BSOL. What it does, so So basically what it does, I put in 5 BSOL. It's going to borrow Solana against my BSOL. So like say 0.5, 50%. So say I put in 10 BSOL just for simplicity. It's going to borrow 5 SOL, convert that to BSOL. And if you only do 2x leverage, it's just going to, now you're going to have 15 BSOL and you're going to earn 50% more staking rewards. But obviously you can just continually loop that by continually borrowing more SOL, converting it to BSOL, and get much higher staking rewards doing that. Now, there are risks obviously with doing that. It sounds like an infinite money glitch, but obviously the max leverage you can do is 5. But if for whatever reason the price of BSOL got depegged from Solana by, if you were using 5x leverage, if it got depegged by more than 20%, you're going to get liquidated. So that's why, you don't want to take too much risk with that scenario or with that strategy, but it's definitely one to look into. It's definitely one to potentially do on a lower leverage. Right, the next platform, another liquidity provider. The next platform I'm not using myself, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. It's Meteora. I will set this up. I've just been too lazy, but it's another liquidity provider just like Kamino, but I haven't set it up yet. But you don't be lazy when it comes to airdrop farming. In my personal opinion, you should be using all the Solana potential airdrop farms that there are, because every airdrop is probably going to reward each individual user more so. Like, you're probably like, there's nothing to lose by trying to farm them all. It's just a bit more work and you're going to need a little bit more Solana, but it's probably worth it in my opinion, but I'm too lazy to do it. So the next platforms that we'll talk about are Zeta and Drift. So there's Zeta Markets and Drift Protocol, and they're both perp dexes. So like basically leverage trading platforms. So if you do like leverage trading, like you can trade any asset, like most of the big crypto assets, you can do perp trading on them on these platforms. So if you're using Bybit, there's absolutely no point to trading on Bybit, because Bybit's never going to give you an airdrop. So you might as well be doing all your perp leverage trading, if you do that, on these platforms, because at the end of the day you're going to get an airdrop. You're going to get paid for doing that. So if you do want to open a long, if you do want to open a short on Bitcoin, Solana, etc., do it on these platforms. And saying that, adding to that, if you're not a leverage trader, if you don't like leverage trading, if you think that's too much risk, well, how can you use these platforms in a risk-free way? So you can go onto Zeta Markets, which is one of the perp dexes. You can open a big 2x short, so a 2 times leverage short on Solana, and then you can go to Drift Protocol and open a 2x leverage long with the same size, so a nice big amount of size, and no matter which way the price goes, you're going to be golden. You're not going to make or lose anything. You're just going to be farming the airdrop points. Now, obviously, if the price of Solana doubles or the price of Solana halves, one of them is going to get liquidated. So, that's why I'm saying only 2x leverage, because, if you're using 10x leverage, one of them's going to easily get liquidated, because the price of Solana will move 10% in a day easily. Right, so I don't really need to explain any more of these leverage trading platforms. It's pretty straightforward. We'll move on to the next one, onto the last one of today. It's called Parcl. Now, Parcl is like a perp dex, except instead of betting and trading and leverage trading on the price of crypto assets, you're leverage trading on the real estate markets across the world. So you can bet on the real estate market of Toronto to go up, or you can short the real estate market of Houston, Texas. So Parcl is actually a very interesting platform. Definitely something new in the crypto space. Probably something that people want, because potentially you can hedge your own house, or you can hedge the house that you wanted to buy but you can't afford. So you can go open a long, or you can short it if you bought a house recently and you think housing prices are going to collapse. You can you could potentially hedge using Parcl. But Obviously, most people are just using it to speculate on house prices and real estate markets, but it's an interesting, probably a useful platform that people will use in the future. So for any interesting and useful platform that people are going to use, that means there's going to be a nice high valuation on it, a nice high market cap. So any potential airdrop is probably going to be juicy, you know. So basically, how you can farm the airdrop on Parcl, there's two main ways, quite simple. Number one, you can long or short any real estate market that you want. Just like I explained, you can open a leverage trade on whatever real estate market. Now, obviously, open a leverage trade, although real estate isn't very volatile, you'll lose money doing this. The other way you can farm this airdrop is by providing liquidity on people who want to go long or short. So all you have to do in this case is just send some USDC to the Parcl for them to use that to provide liquidity on the pairs. Alright, so that's all my strategies of what I'm doing in the Solana space. There's probably other platforms that are worth farming in the Solana space, so let me know if there are ones that I've missed, because I'll definitely want to take a look at them. But I hope you enjoyed this kind of longer style video, going very deep on some strategies for the next 6 months. I think a lot of these are going to do very well. But that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one. Cheers.